Hi, it's Ash, co-founder of nettTracker. Now, yesterday I was attending a webinar where we were discussing retentions. If you're not familiar with retentions, they're very common in the construction industry, where basically you're raising your invoices and an amount is going to be withheld. So, for example, 5% is going to be withheld until a job is fully signed off. So people are satisfied that the works have been fully completed, there's no outstanding issues, and then at a later time, could be 6 months later, that retention is then released and paid back to the business. Now, in my experience actually monitoring retentions and keeping track of what is actually owed back to a business can be quite painful, and you can lose track basically of what is still owed, when is it going to be due, when should people be paying you. And then it just got me to thinking, well, actually there are some tools that we can use in nettTracker to help with that. So let's go and have a look at how we can use those. Now, the example on the screen, it shows me creating an invoice coding a positive value to construction, and I've got a negative value there to retentions, assuming I know that I'm actually going to have that amount deducted from me. Now, in some circumstances, you might not actually know the deduction is coming until you're actually paid, so then you might raise a credit note. If I'm creating multiple invoices during a month, during the quarter, I'm going to see them all appear in this dedicated account I'm using for retention control. I can see those deductions, the amounts that are going to be withheld, are shown as a negative value in my profit and loss, reducing my turnover effectively. Now, retentions should not affect your turnover, they just reflect the amount that is going to be due back to you at a later time. So what I'm going to do is actually use nettTracker to make the adjustment, correct my provision, so it'll put the turnover back to where it should be, and then also how we can be reminded to invoice that at a later time. In nettTracker, within the accrued income groups, I've created a group there for retentions, and that is mapped to the balance sheet count for retentions back in Sage. So for each of my retentions now, I can create a record. So in this example, I'm using the group for retentions. I'm putting in some information, so the customer's name, some additional notes if I wish, the account in the profit and loss that needs to be adjusted. In this example, retention control that should always balance back to 0 in a month. I've got the month in which I should actually be charging for that retention, or at least expecting that retention to be released back to me. How much that retention is going to be. I don't have anything in the balance sheet at the moment, so I want the journals to be created for me. And I need to make this adjustment in this month now for July for 1 month. So the invoice was raised in July. I'm expecting the retention to be released in November. If I take a look at the projections of my accrued income, I can see the adjustments there for July for the 2 invoices and the future adjustments expected. The values in red because I've already processed depreciation, etc. up until the end of October. So we can make these adjustments retrospectively if we wish. If I take a quick look at the detailed nominal activity for the retention control account, I can see that nettTracker has created a journal for £1,500 to bring the account to 0 as it should be. In October, when the first retention is to be released, that account has been debited by £1,000, and it's in this month that I should either be creating an invoice or I should expect my payment back from my customer. So now, end of October, I've created my invoice to claim the retention. At this point, my profit and loss no longer contains any negative entries for the retention that has been deducted. If I take a look at my statement of retentions back in nettTracker, I can see the first retention for £1,000 has been fully released and that is marked as complete. The second retention for £500 is still on hold, and that balance agrees to the balance in the balance sheet back in Sage. Well, I hope you found that video of some interest. I'm always thinking of ways in which I can save time when it comes to reconciling the balance sheet, starting with fixed assets depreciation, prepayments, accruals, deferred income. If there are any other balance sheet categories that you're having problems reconciling each month or each year, drop us a message and we'll think of ways in which we might be able to incorporate them into our nettTracker software. Thank you for watching.